Hello, and welcome to my show, Move or Improve with Debbie. I'm Debbie Miller, and I want to continue my conversation on the series Home Sweet Home. This is part 2, and we're going to talk today about narrowing your choices based on what your budget is so that you know how to start your look. Baby boomers with middle incomes are a large portion of the population with housing needs that aren't really being addressed adequately. By 2029, the middle income senior population will be close to 14.5 million. So assuming the rates of today won't go up, slightly more than half won't have the financial resources to pay for private pay living. According to research done by the National Investment Center for Seniors Housing and Care, roughly 8% will have some sort of cognitive impairment, and 60%, that's a lot, will have limited mobility. 20% will have 3 or more chronic conditions and 1 or more limitations with the activities of daily living, which are bathing, dressing, cooking, and that sort of thing. These same boomers are less likely to have pensions and fewer children, which will restrict the access to family caregivers if they need them. And many are still rebuilding the loss of equity in their home after the real estate crash several years ago. Pricey luxury amenities are used to differentiate communities. The quality of care is really secondary, but I think the focus needs to turn from housing for the wealthy boomers to creating affordable housing options for middle-class America. Because by 2029, there'd be almost 15 million income. By 2029, there will be almost 15 million middle-income older adults in the U.S., and more than half of them won't have the finances to pay for senior housing at today's rates. Solutions are out there, but companies need to get started sooner than later. The big question is, will the senior living industry be able to face the challenge? So what can boomers do if they don't want to age in place? And I will discuss that in a later segment, but for today, I want to talk a little bit about how you get started. Well, so you've decided not to stay where you are. You don't want to age in place. The house is too big. You don't want to maintain a big yard. You don't like shoveling snow anymore. You're tired of the higher taxes. You don't want the traffic. So you're looking for something different. Before you do any serious looking, the first thing you need to know is, what is your retirement budget for housing? Once you know that, then you can sift through the choices that fit the budget. So you need to decide, do you want to stay in the same area as your house is, but you want to buy or rent something that's less maintenance? If the answer is no, then you need to ask yourself what you want out of a home. If you're not going to stay in that same area, what do you want? Are taxes a concern? Many popular states don't tax Social Security or pensions. Real estate taxes may be non-existent or low, but municipality still has to pay for roads and other services. So you need to find out what is taxed and what the rate is, because it's probably going to be higher if they don't tax your real estate. Second thing you want to consider is, do you want to live closer to your grandchildren? Do you want to live in a warmer climate? Colder climate? Maybe you can afford 2 places. Another thing to consider is, what kind of lifestyle do you enjoy? Do you want to be able to walk everywhere? You like art galleries, sports, theater, eating out? Or are you a homebody who enjoys quiet evenings curled up with a book or watching a movie? A big thing to consider is many baby boomers are going to need to work part-time at least in retirement. So your destination needs the ability to work part-time, whether it be online or walking to an office building. Regardless of the type of housing you choose, you need to plan ahead for long-term care. Does the area you're considering have quality elder care? You want to be close to good doctors, medical facilities, and hospitals. Do you want a smaller, more affordable place, and then you can use the money that you have left over to travel? Remember, just because you like to visit a place doesn't mean you should live there year-round. You're going to want to listen to my podcast on retiring abroad. It's different to visit Costa Rica for 2 weeks versus living in Costa Rica all the time. Do you prefer a gated community, one that's age restricted? Now, if you tend to be a rule breaker or don't like obeying the rules, you'll want to look elsewhere, because these communities have homeowner associations, or HOAs, that restrict what you can and cannot do. You can listen to my podcast, The ABCs of HOAs, that I did a few months ago, and you'll learn a lot about being in an HOA. But today I want to focus on buying a condo. If you've lived in a single family home most of your life, the idea of moving to a condo, it can feel strange because it's not the same type of ownership as a single family home. When you buy a condo, you're buying into a community where the majority rules. And that can be frustrating to some people, especially if you like planting certain bushes or want to have a garden of your own. That condo board is going to decide what your monthly condo fee will be and what it's going to pay for. And that might not be something you want. So you want to review all the condominium documents ahead of time. And the board may approve spending money on things that you don't want. You can't pretend you're there all alone. So I want to talk about several things you need to consider and check out before you buy. First of all, each state has laws that outline what a seller must provide to a buyer. So you want to Google that state you're considering and check out the condominium laws for that state. Your realtor that you're working with will be able to help you too, but sometimes it's a good idea to just preview the documents to find out, oh, you mean I can't paint my door yellow? Second thing you want to find out is what information must the seller provide. The disclosure laws differ by state, so you want to check the state's requirements and print them off just to have on file. And that way, when you do get your copy of the documents, you can review them thoroughly in a relatively short time frame because you're not given a long time to review. At the very least, you want to be able to review the condominium documents, and that they should include any reserve study that's been done or is in the process of being done. You want to see whether there's enough money in the reserves to cover item improvements that are recommended. For example, if it's an older building, are they going to have to repave the parking lot soon? And have they set aside money? Or is there going to be a special assessment to repave the parking lot or fix the balconies or update the pool? You're going to want to review the budget. I know it sounds boring, but you really need to look at those numbers carefully. The bylaws, which will also be provided, will tell you what you can and can't do in the condominium. For example, a lot of places, well, you can't have chickens and cows. Well, of course, duh. But it'll tell you if you can have a business, and if you can, what kind of business does it allow? You want to know, as I said, what special assessments are being paid for now or in the future. Are they going to have to require a special assessment, which is on top of your monthly fee? It's not the monthly fee. The monthly fee will usually take care of exterior grounds maintenance, building maintenance, elevators if you have them, that sort of thing. But the big ticket items that are one-time kinds of things like paving the parking lot or improving the pool, that's something that would be a special assessment. There should be a separate account for those big ticket expenditures for insurance or major repairs. They may have to overhaul the elevators. They may have to replace windows, redo the balconies, that sort of thing. So you want to verify that the reserve fund has enough money to cover the big ticket planned items. And usually the condominium board will hire an outside consulting firm to come in and evaluate everything. But you want to make sure that at least 10% of the capital budget is set aside for the big ticket planned items. A big thing that people sometimes don't do because they don't think it's important after they read the budget, they want to review the minutes. And it sounds boring, but it's important to review at least 2 years of budget expenses so you can get a feel for what's been going on. Now, if it's a new condominium building, the builder is going to obviously be a different situation to deal with. But you'll be able to tell, are the utilities, do they seem high? Are there lots of ongoing repairs? And when was the last monthly fee increase and how much was it? That's going to tell you a lot too. Are there annual legal fees that seem high? You need to verify whether there's a legal battle between the association and a resident or the association and an outside group. These arguments can get ugly really fast, and rarely are they resolved quickly. Are there recurring large assessments to cover insurance or repairs? That can signal poor financial management of the company in charge. The financial information will be mentioned in the board minutes or in the budget, so go over it carefully. You'll find out quickly who's arguing with who and why. Another thing you need to think about, what is the investor ratio? This can be an indication as to whether or not a mortgage can be sold to a government entity like Freddie Mac. If there's too many investors, it may prevent you from getting a mortgage on the property. Cash transaction won't be a problem to purchase that way, but it may take longer to resell if the ratios are tipped towards investors. And many investors just rent out the property, which drags down the condo values. You need to check on whether or not the owners, the residents, are current on their condo fee payments. If not, that's not a good sign. Back in the debacle of the real estate mess in 2006 to 2009, a lot of empty nesters who bought in a condo just walked. They walked away from it and left the people who were still behind living there to make up the difference of the monthly fee. So that's not a good sign. Next thing you want to do is you want to make sure, find out what the monthly fee covers for amenities, like does it cover pool maintenance, grounds maintenance, trash, water, parking, what utilities are included. You should also be sure you have an insurance certificate in the packet of information. The master policy covers your building from your walls out, and you and other owners will be expected to contribute to the deductible per claim. That can be a good chunk of money. And of course, remember, you still have to buy a homeowner's insurance policy created specifically for condos. Your insurance agent will be able to advise you on how much you need. As part of your due diligence, it's a good idea, in fact necessary, I think, to speak with a few board members on the phone or meet them in person, depending on how available they are. They will provide a lot of good information about the community, the management, and how it will feel to live there. And if you can do an on-site visit and grab somebody who lives there as they're leaving the elevator or coming out of wherever, talk to them about how it will feel and if they have any gripes. If you're buying a new condominium that's not fully occupied yet, you're going to want to find out when the new board is to take over fully from the builder, and how is that new board going to be decided? Who are the members going to be, and how do they figure out who's going to be on that board? On the whole, though, if you buy a condo that's well managed, it can be a great way to travel and be free of maintenance. It's locking and leaving at its best. Remember that location, location, location. Obviously, if you have a beautiful view or are higher up in the building, that makes the unit worth more. You have very little maintenance. Maintenance is a memory. Somebody else is available to take care of the outside yard. Locking and leaving is great. And the amenities, though, you only want to buy into what you're going to use. So if it is a golf course community and you don't play golf, then don't buy into it. And you want to check the security for sure. Multiple security features, like is there a code for building access, an elevator code? Is there on-site management? How long are they there during the day? Is there anybody at night? How do you get packages delivered? And the buildings are usually beautiful. So another thing that comes up often, though, is the question of should you buy or rent when you retire? So let me talk about that a little bit and give you some pointers. Many baby boomers do mention that they want